This is a continuation of my previous tutorial video about H3VR. Here I will cover some topics I didn't mention in the previous video, some things I forgot to add, and some more specific tips and tricks. Again, I remind you that H3VR is frequently updated, so some of this info may become outdated. See the previous video for more in-depth discussion of controls. Timecodes in the description below. Hand grenades. They are pretty simple, but there's some specific nuances you may want to know. First, frag grenades. They come in a couple different varieties. You probably know how these work. Pull the pin and throw. As long as the spoon is attached to the grenade, you are safe to hold it. If you want to remove the spoon to cook the grenade before you throw it, press in the trackpad. Now the fuse is active, so don't hold on to it for too long. The Stielhandgranate, or German stick grenade, circa World War II, works pretty similarly. Pull off the cap from the bottom, then pull the fuse out from inside. However, it can be used as a melee weapon as well. The impact grenade. This grenade will explode on contact, remove the safety cap, and throw. Dynamite requires a fire source to light the fuse. Use a match or a lighter to burn down the fuse shorter to make it explode sooner. The Molotov cocktail similarly requires a fire source. You can light the fuse and throw it. Upon breaking, it will spread fire around. The Spam is a parody version of the Slam, or selectable lightweight attack munition. The Spam can be used as a remote explosive with the provided trigger. Arm it by clicking the switch on the side, throw it, and pull the trigger on the remote. Additionally, you can flip this cover on the explosive to activate its laser mine mode. Now, it can be affixed to a surface. After a few seconds, it will arm and a visible laser will appear. Breaking that laser will trigger the explosive. Keep in mind, the Spam is more of a shaped charge, meaning the explosive damage will be mostly directed in one direction. It doesn't have a large blast radius. The stun grenade is simple to use. You will have to pull 2 safety pins first. This explosive will stun enemies, giving you a chance to escape or retaliate. Finally, the smoke grenade, and it works just like a frag. Pull the pin and throw. It will emit physics-reactive smoke spheres that will obscure the vision of enemies, allowing you to sneak by or escape. Many grenades can be pocketed once the pin has been pulled. This allows you to grab and throw a grenade with only one hand. There are also different types of real-world and fictional grenades for the 40mm grenade launchers. You can find them in the ammo panel. The standard high explosive round is simple and explodes on contact. The airburst round will hit the ground and bounce up before exploding. The Apers, or the 40mm buckshot round, is an extremely devastating shotgun-like blast. The practice round is just that, a dud round for practicing aim. It won't do much damage. The Steel Breaker is a highly penetrative round that will deal extreme damage to armor. Corner frag rounds will explode soon after being launched, perfect for blind firing around a corner or from behind cover. The Baphomet round is a lot like a 12-gauge Dragon's Breath round on steroids. You can quickly lay down a curtain of smoke with the CS gas rounds. And finally, the Freedom Party round is basically a stun grenade. Some more information on caseless grenade launchers. The underbarrel versions have a safety switch located above the ejection rod. This must be clicked before the launcher can be used. There are fewer variants of the caseless grenades. There's the basic high explosive frag, the jump frag, which is like the airburst, the smoke grenade, sound and flash, which is a stun grenade, and another practice round. The standard underbarrel version of the launcher that attaches to the AK platforms has a sight for firing angles. Grab it and click left and right on the trackpad to move it. It goes from close, 100 meters, 200, 300, 400, and then 300 and 200 high angle. There are many different melee weapons in H3VR. They can deal different types of damage like piercing, cutting, and blunt. Against Sosigs, piercing them can cause a bleed effect which deals damage over time. Piercing weapons can also become lodged in enemies, which will unharness them, so try not to lose a knife in a Sosig. Cutting a Sosig can also cause bleed. However, with enough power behind your swing, you can sever Sosigs at their joints. Blunt weapons can cause a knockdown and stun effect, especially with a headshot. Different parts of weapons can cause different types of damage, sharpened blades versus blunt edges. Melee damage is physics-based, so simply connecting with an enemy isn't enough. You'll have to follow through to deal damage. Your movement speed will also add to the power of your blow. Some weapons have alternate handling angles, and you can cycle through them on the trackpad. It doesn't need to be a melee weapon to deal melee damage. You can bash with a shield, or smack a Sosig around with your rifle. While you can throw anything, some melee weapons have been designed specifically for throwing. There are more than those just found in the throwing category, such as some knives and the Roman pilum. These weapons will spawn lock instead of being harnessed, allowing you plenty of attempts to land your shot. These items are more easily thrown, and make sure the pointy end is facing forward. If you don't have a weapon, you aren't completely helpless, as you can use your bare hands. You can snap joints on the Sosigs. A neck snap will kill, the others will cripple them. More than that, you can tear them apart. Note, you can only grab a Sosig while they are unaware. If they are attacking, you can't get a grip on them. Certain weapons and families of weapons have bespoke bayonets that can be affixed to them. Bayonets allow you to quickly deal cutting or piercing damage with your firearm. The Enfield, Mosin, and Novelty bayonets can be affixed to most any weapon, even if it doesn't make much sense. Most ammo types have similar sets of subvariants. Many of these give you different levels of effectiveness against armored enemies. Standard rounds can sometimes penetrate armor, but deal much less damage. Sometimes they ricochet off armor. Hollow point rounds are even worse against armor. You'll get way more ricochets this way. However, they deal increased damage to flesh. AP rounds, or armor piercing, are more effective against penetrating armor and helmets. However, it can over-penetrate on soft targets and deal less damage. Incendiary will sometimes ignite the target, dealing damage over time, and often disabling them. There are some more complex interactions you can do with automatic pistols. You can interact with the hammer directly by dragging up and down on the right side of the trackpad. If you want to lower the hammer, pull the trigger only a little bit and slide up on the right side of the trackpad. Similarly, to pull the hammer back without using the slide, click and drag down on the right side of the trackpad. You can hold the trigger on one hand and dump a magazine and many other items directly into that hand. This can help speed up the process when you need to keep spare magazines in certain game modes. You can load and manipulate weapons while they are in your quick belt. This makes it easier to load and ready 2 weapons at once. Some older shotguns have external hammers that you'll have to pull back yourself. Instead of using the trackpad, you can swipe your other hand over them to ready them both at once. The recoil on guns can be mitigated in a few different ways. If you hold weapons with both hands, or with one near the other, it will reduce recoil. It also helps to shoulder weapons with a stock. Or you could affix a muzzle brake to the barrel of your weapon. This will lower the recoil, but often create more noise, or a bigger muzzle flash that can obscure your sight. For the most stability, you can add a bipod to the weapon. Click left or right while interacting with it to change the height. You can attach foregrips to weapons, but in some cases it might be better to affix a shroud. These barrel attachments allow you to hold the weapon by the shroud, as if it were a foregrip. And finally, you can brace yourself in the environment by holding down trigger on your hand grabbing the fore. Doing this will lock your weapon to a certain, smoother rotation, similar to when it is put on a bipod. Speaking of bipods, when you're out shooting, you may not have a good surface to place your weapon. You can pull up and lock the options panel for an on-the-fly table. If you're set up with a bolt-action weapon, you can use a new way of quick bolting. Look in the options menu for the slide bolt option. You can slide bolt your weapon by sliding a semicircle from the right to the left and then back on the trackpad, or down and back up on the index trackpad. You do not need to press in on the pad or stick to activate. This way you can more easily keep your target in your sights, since you won't have to remove your hand from the grip. Some weapons, like the M249, have a carry handle. You can grab them from this handle or use them as a foregrip. Speaking of the M249, despite being a belt-fed machine gun, it can take standard Stanag magazines as well. There are many variants of the MP5 submachine gun in the game, and they have a special kind of customization to go with them. There are a few different foregrips that you can use to replace the standard one. Simply hold one up to the fore and it will eventually snap in. To remove the new foregrip, grab it from behind the grip and remove it like any other attachment with down on the trackpad. You'll know you've grabbed the right spot if the gun doesn't snap to your hand. Additionally, there is a Picatinny rail attachment that you can snap to the top. The MRS Red Dot can have its reticle changed by interacting with the knob on the back of the sight. Once you have palmed ammo in your hand, you can cycle the currently active round by pressing left or right on the trackpad. If you hold down the trigger and down on the trackpad with one hand, you can feed rounds directly to it from the other. Using both of these, you can quickly organize assorted ammunition. Speedloaders can be manipulated similarly to magazines. Press on the trackpad to eject a round from the speedloader. You can feed rounds into it through the back. If you have created a specific speedloader of rounds, you can save it alongside the weapon in the vault. The same can be done with stripper clips and other magazines. Remember, the vault saves the state of the gun, so you can save it where it is loaded and ready to fire upon spawn. Low-pressure shotgun rounds like Dragon's Breath, Cannonball, and Flares will cause some automatic shotguns to not cycle on their own, requiring a manual cycle to chamber the next round. Fire sources can cause rounds to explode. Use this knowledge at your own peril. There are platforms in the spawn menu you can use to set up a surface for yourself. They have collision even with SOSIGs, so you can build yourself a bunker or any number of strange contraptions. And finally, something I forgot to mention about ArmSwinger locomotion. You can set a base speed to move at when you're only pressing the menu button. This allows you to move with a stable aim while still being able to swing your arms to move faster. The speed can be set differently on separate controllers.